guys, it's Soda here. Welcome back to another video. Today, I wanted to do a whole video talking about the frog army. This is something I actually mentioned in my last video. I talked about it pretty briefly, and then I got more comments about it on that video and stuff, and I thought it would actually be interesting to talk about this on a whole video because it is quite an important subject, and I didn't realize how popular this frog army TikTok account actually is on TikTok. Like, it seems like everyone's pretty much seen it, not just if you're on like the pet community of TikTok. Everyone has seen the frog army guy, and it's just such a weird situation and also unfortunate because this is something I've seen on TikTok for a long time. Since I first started using TikTok, I've seen people who rescue frog eggs from the wild, raise them, and then release them, and they make a whole TikTok series about it. And it's always bothered me a bit because it's really not a good thing to encourage people to do, and it definitely has encouraged a lot of people to do the same thing because you see it all the time on TikTok now. Like, I've seen so many different accounts do the same thing. But this one specifically is interesting because, maybe a spoiler warning, although it might be in the title of this video, the whole thing might be fake. Well, we at least know that some of it is definitely fake, but we don't know for sure if the whole thing's fake. And you know, it's the internet, of course there's gonna be fake things. I get jokes, and you know, I'm sure I'll get some comments telling me they're just trying to be funny, it's just a joke. But when you're actively encouraging people to do this, it's not really a joke. The problem is on TikTok, people constantly will do the same thing that they've seen someone else do on TikTok, you know? And I've seen that already. Like, the only reason this person is doing this frog army is because they saw someone else do it. Because there was another person who got really popular doing it as well. I don't remember their account though, I don't know if they still do it. But people are very easily influenced by things, especially kids. And TikTok is a platform where people will constantly repeat the same thing again and again and do it their own way or whatever, you know? But anyways, this frog guy. So let's just like go through their videos a bit in case you don't know what I'm talking about, but I'm assuming a lot of you guys do because their videos have millions and millions of views. Now I think this one's like kind of the first frog army video, I guess.
Moving them out of polluted places. And look at that little jiggle. I find it very satisfying. I'm creating an army of frogs. Be sure to follow to see it. This what I will move them into by tomorrow.
I hate the song. I'm gonna get copyright strike now. So basically they they rescued this frog spawn from this area, and they said it's because it's gonna dry up. This just looks like a little, like a pond, you know? It doesn't look like a puddle that's gonna dry up to me. Like, look how big it is. It's huge. That's not gonna dry up. And the eggs look super healthy. The water looks good. So I don't think these were gonna dry up. I just think a lot of people would just say that so they can pretend that they're rescuing them when really they're just taking them from their environment. And I'm not saying you shouldn't rescue like frog eggs or something. If they actually are drying up, like, you know, they're running out of water very clearly, you can see it happen or whatever, and it's been doing it for a few days, and you have the supplies to rescue them, and it's legal in your area to take them from the wild, you need to, well, first of all, you need to look into the laws, because the laws will be different in every country and every state, and in a lot of places it is illegal to take them from the wild. In some places it might be legal to take them, however it's illegal to re-release them, or you have to release them in the same area, or they have to be a certain age or something like that. So you need to look into that first, because the reason we have these laws is to protect other animals. In case you aren't aware, the frog population in the world is actually rapidly declining. This is due to like habitat loss, pollution obviously, but also due to a lot of diseases that frogs actually can carry sometimes. Specifically, chytridiomycosis. Chytrid is a fungus that lives in like the waterways, and since frogs absorb water through their skin, they also absorb this fungus. And this fungus is pretty much deadly. They have more recently tried to find ways of curing it in frogs, but this is very hard to control because it's really hard to treat like an entire waterway, you know? But scientists are really trying to. This is actually a fairly recent disease, but it's wiping out a lot of frogs, and it's believed to have already made about 100 species of frogs extinct. The chytrid fungus can be found throughout the entire world. Wherever there's frogs, there's chytrid. So a big problem is that if you are rescuing frog eggs or tadpoles, they could contract this disease from whatever water you're putting them in, and then if you're re-releasing them back into the wild, you're just going to be spreading this disease to the entire area you're spreading them into. Also, it does depend on the frog species. There are some frog species that are protected. There are also some that are incredibly invasive and you should never release anywhere. So you have to know all this before doing anything like that. And I know you might feel bad that you might have to just leave the frog spawn there, but the reason why frogs lay so many eggs is because most of them won't survive. And sometimes we do just have to let nature do its thing. So anyways, let me just go back to watching some more of these videos real quick. So they even have a little tutorial here on how to find frog spawn. Yay!
This is how to find frog spawn. Look
in shallow places. See, this is not being dried up.
Fish.
Make sure it doesn't have fish.
I usually find them in
Big puddles and fields that probably won't dry up.
Just look in bog places like
This is not gonna dry up. So yeah, basically they're also giving tutorials on how to take animals from their environment. Woo! If you see frog spawn somewhere where you know it's not gonna dry up, I really wouldn't recommend taking it. I'd just leave it there. I'm not really a big fan of taking in wild animals unless it's for like a necessary reason or you're actually like an animal rehab person. But yeah, don't take them from places if they're obviously already thriving, especially if you're just going to re-release them, because then you could just spread diseases, and also it might be illegal. So the thing that already made me really suspicious of this is just like a lot of the clips are very different quality. You would notice like a lot, like, you know, they'll show a few different clips and they all just look really different, like they're using a different phone camera for each one. So I was always really sus about this in the first place. I just thought it was fake, which is why I didn't really cover it earlier, but then it became really popular. Like right now in these ones, it's not like super popular, but it does get very popular. This is the thing too, if you're legally allowed to take some frog spawn and you choose to do it and you want to put them in a pond, that's actually a good idea. However, you should find a way to keep it so they can't escape that pond, otherwise they'll just go and leave. But I would say if you are actually rescuing them or you are legally taking them some frog spawn, you should have like the ability to actually be able to keep them instead of re-releasing them, because there's more risk in the environment in re-releasing them somewhere. So if you actually have the ability to keep them forever in like an enclosed pond or something, then that's a good idea. So they just keep getting more frog spawn and these puddles drying up, which I don't think any of them are.
And it's all drying up. So
obviously they're getting way more than they should, because no one can take care of that many frogs. Oh, you saved some more. Yes, I'm sure you did.
And this is what they
There was oil and trash in there and it stinks, it's all drying up. Okay, to be honest, if there was oil in there, none of those eggs would be alive, but those eggs look very healthy. This is not the same one though. It's a completely different puddle. Alright, and then they just keep taking more and more, for some reason. More. You shouldn't rescue animals if you don't have the supplies to rescue them, by the way. That's not rescuing. I know that's like a hard pill to swallow, but this is not rescuing. You're just taking them from their environment to put them in a little pond and then have no plan on what to do after that.
There was lots of dispos and cigarettes through in here, and oil on top of the water.
I think they're getting confused with oil and like biofilm, because that doesn't look like oil at all to me. That just looks like biofilm, which is just like normal.
So I found a polluted pond with oil.
There's no oil.
So I decided to get my net and
There's
have a
no
few
oil
sweeps
there.
to see what I get.
Why are they taking
And
more?
I saw lots of fish in here. And I caught some stickleback and even a couple newts.
Well, clearly there's no oil then if there's newts
So
and
when I got
fish in
home, I
there.
put them in this crappy thing for now for more oxygen. And I've just rescued
God,
like
they're
30
taking more
stickleback
animals.
and 2 newts.
So then let's get to the part where the frogs start. Yeah, so someone made this video, which I assume is just the same person who made it, of all these frogs. But I feel like I've seen this video years ago. Because this does happen sometimes, like naturally, just like frogs or frogs from like a nearby pond or something will just like be everywhere. Which actually used to be very common, but it's become less common now because of, you know, humans. And then I guess they took like credit, and I guess they said like, oh yeah, it was
Do you
me.
think this was my fault?
And the
Because of
frog
my
army
giant
is
frog army.
escaping.
Because I raised 1 point for million frogs for a frog
These
army,
are definitely
they had
not
all
their
spread across
videos.
the
Look at this.
neighborhood.
This is cool though. But it's not their videos. It's just cool seeing all the frogs. This was posted
100
6
days ago, I came across a bunch of frog spawns, so I rescued it all until my pond was full of 1 point per million frog eggs. And that was 100 days ago, and they are now all tiny little frogs about a centimeter long jumping around the yard what I rescued. And now I have 1 million frogs what took over my garden and all the neighbors.
Nothing like committing environmental terrorism on TikTok. So yeah, these ones is when they started to get like millions of views. And then more people started talking about it, and this person actually made a video where they found one of the original videos that this account just used and pretended it was theirs. So I actually already talked about this specific video in my last video, so I'm not going to watch it again. I will just show you what they showed, because I'm quite impressed that she actually managed to find the same video.
Frog Army guy is lying. It's my conspiracy. Here's my proof. So he posted the video 5 hours ago, and basically he's like, my neighbor has to leave, there's too many frogs, but there's a part of the video that I recognized. This part right here. So there's this part where like all the frogs are like jumping through this little green area, and I was like, I've seen this before. It's from this video, Millions of Little Frogs by GMikeG123 on YouTube. You can look it up, it's there. But here's some screenshots. So the top screenshot is from the YouTube video, the GMikeG, and then this bottom screenshot is from the Frog Army video. That's the same picture.
And you can see it's literally the same thing. So yeah, that's very cool. I'm gonna assume a lot of the other videos they showed have also just been stolen videos from YouTube.
Okay, while I was editing this video, I noticed something which I thought was really weird. So in the first like frog video they posted, there was this one shot where like you can see their hand, and it looks like, you know, like probably like an adult man's hand. But then for pretty much every other video on this account, it's like a child's hand. Like, we can compare it. They look very different. Looks like the child hand is very small and it looks like a child's hand, you know? Which would make more sense if it was a child running the account. So yeah, I don't know, I just thought it was interesting.
So we don't know if this whole thing is fake, but we do know that a lot of it definitely seems to be. I especially think the shots when he's showing all the frogs in the yard are definitely fake. And maybe some of the tadpole shots, you know, we really don't know because we haven't found all the other shots that he's using. So let's assume that a lot of it's real and that they did to rescue thousands or millions of frogs or whatever. Now, releasing frogs into random areas of land can cause some environmental problems, but the reality is it probably won't cause like a huge problem. If it's just one person, it probably won't even be that noticeable. However, there's still a chance that they could be spreading, you know, diseases to other frogs. They could even be an invasive species. We don't know what species of frog they have, or they could be a protected species, which would just be straight up illegal. But likely this probably won't cause a huge problem, but the bigger problem is more that people will see this and do the same thing. They literally gave you a tutorial on how to take frogs from the wild and it just makes people think that you need to rescue these animals that actually are doing fine. I couldn't find a single part in any of these guys' TikToks where they actually needed rescuing, and every shot he showed they looked like they were healthy in a nice area of water and they weren't drying up like they said they were. It does feel good to rescue an animal. I'm not saying you shouldn't do that, but there are steps in place. You need to actually know what you're doing and know if you actually have the supplies to do it. Otherwise, you're not really rescuing it, and don't just take an animal that's doing fine. Now, this person's actually from the UK, so I had a quick look at like some of the UK laws of taking frogs, and it seems to be pretty much like the same as a lot of places where there are certain species that are protected, so they are illegal to take from the wild, and there are other ones that you can take, but if you re-release them, it's recommended to release them in the same area that you found them to prevent the spread of any diseases. It's also pretty discouraged to take any and actually keep them in captivity. And like I said, we don't know the species of frog that this person has taken, so it might be legal, it might be illegal, we don't know. So if it is illegal, they won't get in any trouble, but if they are taking an illegal species, then they actually can get into real trouble for that. And if these frogs did end up being an invasive species and they're just letting them free, wander around their yard, near the neighborhood, then this can actually cause a pretty serious impact on the ecosystem. But, you know, there's a lot of things we don't know, so I can't confirm anything, but I do think this is a very interesting subject to talk about and kind of bizarre. Like, what a weird thing to, like, lie about, I guess. I mean, I don't know if they're lying about the whole thing or just lying about some of it, but it is weird. And yeah, I really just want to talk about this video just to talk about the environmental impact this does have and why you should not replicate this, because I know a lot of people have been doing that. But I'm glad that it seems like a lot of people are finally starting to realize that this is not a good thing to do. So yeah, let me know what you guys think about this, and if there's any info that I missed, because I'm not like a biologist or anything like that. I'm just like someone who really likes animals, and I really like frogs, so I love learning about new things about them, and this whole thing is just give me a good excuse to do some more research on like frog laws around the world. It differs everywhere obviously, but I do encourage you to do your own research, especially if you do want to rescue some frog eggs or you do want to take them from the wild. I mean, I wouldn't recommend taking them from the wild if they're thriving in the wild, you know, but You can't stop people at the end of the day. Thank you for watching, guys. Let me know what I'd like to talk about in my next video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!